This is the Rost RM1C, and this has been my carry gun for a little over a year now. Well, Rost decided to do a major upgrade to the RM1C, and that's what we have here. Meet the Rost RM1C Comped. We've already done a full unboxing video on this RM1C Comped, and I will link that at the end of this video and in the description below. We went over everything that comes in the box, all the specs, everything was covered in that video. Now, I also have a full unboxing video and quite a few videos on the channel on the Rost RM1C. So we're not going to make this video crazy long by going into all the specs and everything with this RM1C Comped, because this comped version of the RM1C is exactly the same as the original, except it has a comp. Now, I do have a Rost playlist on my channel if you want to go back and check out all the other videos on all three of these guns. But if you don't want to do that and you don't want to watch the unboxing video on the comped version, I'm going to go ahead and roll the specs in now. Now, what we are going to do in this video is go over my shooting experience with the comped versus the original. And I am going to roll in some footage here in a little bit where we're shooting both of these side by side, so you can see the difference in the muzzle rise with the comped version versus the non-comped version. Now, my biggest concern right out the gate with this gun when I got to the range was going to be the reliability. And one of the biggest reasons I bring that up is because the RM1C has been 100% reliable. No matter what ammo I shoot through it, factory ammo, reloads, self-defense rounds, the gun just eats everything. Now, I have a lot of guns in my collection that have comps. I have guns that I've added comps to, and sometimes you start messing with the reliability of the firearm when you add a compensator. So a lot of times you end up changing guide rod springs, things like that, to get the gun to function with a comp. And with this gun coming right from the factory with a port in the barrel and a port on the slide, I was a little worried that it might be ammo picky. Now, we took quite a few different types of ammo to the range to test this gun. We had Remington UMC 115 grain, Winchester White Box 115 grain, 115 grain Buffalo Cartridge Company. We also have my 124 grain Steel Valley Casting reloads out there, and the gun just ate everything. Oh, and we also had Freedom Munitions 115 grain, new ammo and reman ammo. And I am happy to say the gun ran flawless with all that ammo. All right, target on the left, we got 4 alphas. We got all our hits on steel. Next target, we got a really nice cluster here of alphas, but we did throw 1 Charlie. I think I'm going to make a little adjustment to the left on the dot. Next target, we got all alphas and 1 Charlie. We did have a miss on this piece of steel. And our next target, we got 3 Alpha, 1 Charlie. Now what I did notice with this comped version was, depending on the ammo we were using, we were getting some erratic ejection patterns. And my GoPro and my hat were hit multiple times with brass casings. But with that being said, we had no stovepipes, no failure to feeds, no anything. All of the ammo we took to the range ran perfect. All right, our first target, we got all alphas. We got all our hits on steel. Next target, that's nice, all alphas. And our next target, we've got all alphas. We got all our hits on steel. And our last target, all alphas. Now, if you did not watch my unboxing video on the RM1C Comped, it does come with 2 magazines. You do get an extended 17-round mag, and you also get the flush fit 15-round mag. And the mags are exactly the same as the RM1C. So if you already have the RM1C and you watch this video and you're like, I think I'm going to go ahead and get the comped version also, well, your mags from your original will work with the comped. Alright, I'm going to show you that this gun is clear, no mag, nothing in the chamber. Let's talk about the trigger on the RM1C Comped. And again, it's the exact same trigger that comes in the original RM1C. Now, I am a fan of the Rost Martin triggers. So there's your take-up. Now, when you first get these guns out of the box, the take-up on these is a little bit gritty. We got a little over 300 rounds on this gun today. That take-up has smoothed right out. So there's your take-up, there's the wall, and you just get a nice clean break. There's no rolling through the wall, there's no creep, anything like that. It's just nice take-up right to the wall, and then a nice clean break. And what's really awesome on the Rost Martins is the reset. Very short, very tactile and audible reset. And that trigger pull with all of the Rost Martins, on my trigger pull gauge, you're going to vary anywhere between 5 to 6 pounds on that trigger pull. Alright, so let's start talking about what everyone is here to find out. Is there any difference shooting the RM1C versus the RM1C Comped? And I am going to tell you yes. And it's quite a big difference, to me anyway. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the report. Yes, this gun is definitely louder than the RM1C. I shot a mag through the Comped, and then I shot a mag through the original, and you could definitely tell a difference in the sound. It wasn't like it was obnoxiously loud, but there definitely is a difference in the tone of the sound between the original and the Comped. Now we're going to go ahead and roll that footage in of me shooting both of these side by side. Now, I've watched this footage a lot. I've slowed it down, I've sped it up. I'm going to show you even the slow motion footage of shooting these side by side. And on camera, I think I see a slight difference between the Comped and the original. But what I do know is that I shot this gun very well. I could definitely shoot this gun faster than I could the original, and I was definitely getting less dot bounce with the Comped version over the original. So in my opinion, with what I felt and what I was seeing, I could definitely tell a difference with the Comped version over the original, and I definitely prefer the Comped version. Now, I've got pretty large hands. I do wear 2XL gloves, and I do get a lot of people asking me, how does the Rost Martin RM1C fit in your hand, and how does it feel in your hand? So let's get into that a little bit. So right now, we do not have a mag in the RM1C Comped, and I can pretty much get a full grip on it. My pinky is hanging off of the integrated magwell just a little bit. It does kind of have a flared magwell, which is nice, But once I put the 15 round flush fit mag in it, I can definitely get a full purchase on the gun. And I prefer carrying it this way because I can get a full purchase on this. And I like to carry the 17 round mag in my pocket as a backup mag. Now, the original RM1C did kind of have a mixed bag of comments when it comes to the grip. So let's dive into that a little bit, because that's where one of the cons comes in for me with the original and the Comped. Now, I personally like the texturing on this. A lot of guys have said that it was not aggressive enough, but you do have your texturing here on the back strap. You also have it on the front. Now, I have had no issues gripping this gun, whether I'm wearing gloves or not wearing gloves. I shot this original RM1C a lot in the wintertime because I got this gun right after SHOT Show in 24. So a lot of the testing and reviews we did were out in the cold. Now, the Rost Martin does have a very nice undercut right there, which I love. And when I'm gripping the gun, it is very comfortable. But that leads into what I don't like about the frame, and that is the fact that there is no texturing up here. It is very smooth, and that was one of my complaints with this original RM1C. And as you can see, even with the Comped version, they did not change the frame at all. Now, the reason I bring this up is because they fixed that issue when they came out with the RM1S subcompact. And now you can see you've got some really nice texturing here. Now, the great thing about the Rost Martin RM1C Comped, the original and the RM1S, is if you're a left-handed shooter like me, these guns are fully Ambi, and the Ambi controls work awesome. So let's talk about the mag release first. You can drop the mag with your trigger finger or your thumb. It's not like a lot of guns where you have to reverse the magazine release. This one is fully Ambi all the time, so no matter how you want to drop your mag, you can. And your slide stop, slide lock, slide release, whatever you want to call it, is also fully Ambi, and it works very well. Alright, so we've talked about all the pros and cons with the RM1C Comped. The gun, like I said, it ran 100% reliably. The gun has fully Ambi controls, which, being a lefty, I love that. The gun has some really nice serrations on the slide, up front and in the back. They are nice and deep and very usable because I like to charge my pistol from the front. But while we're talking about the slide, let's dive into another con. And we've talked about this in all the unboxing videos with all the Rost Martins and the other reviews we've done, is the fact that the gun is optics ready. All of their guns are optics ready. They do use a plate system, which puts the optic a little higher than I like. It's always better to direct mount the optic to the slide than use a plate. But the Rost Martin system does use plates. But with all three of these guns I've reviewed on the channel, I have had no issues with that. But it does cause a problem. Rost Martin sends this gun out with a blacked out kind of U-notch type rear sight. It does have some serrations on it to cut down on the glare. Kind of reminds you of a Springfield sight, which we'll get into here in a second. And your front sight is just a standard white dot front sight. What's the problem with these sights? Well, once you get an optic on this gun, these sights are useless. So being that it is an optics ready gun, I wish they would have used suppressor height sights, but they did not do that with the original or the RM1S or this Comped version. Now, the reason I brought up the Springfield name was because this gun uses Springfield XD sights. This is the original RM1C, and I have excess suppressor height sights on this. But even with the tallest excess sights on this, I still cannot co-witness my rear sight with the front sight. Now, a lot has to do with the plate, but also this Gideon Optics rock has a very tall base on it, which is definitely interfering with the co-witness of the iron sights. Now, the nice thing is the rock has an iron sight built into the back of the optic, which I can use with the excess front sight. Now, the plus side is to this, Rost Martin is now offering suppressor height sights on their website if you want to upgrade the sights. Now they are all blacked out. It's a blacked out serrated rear sight and a blacked out front sight. But if you're running an optic, it's not that big of a deal. Those sights are just going to be on there for a backup in case your dot goes down. And we're not allowed to talk about prices here on YouTube, but the sights are actually pretty cheap, and I think they are very well priced and reasonable. So if you are worried about losing the iron sights when you put an optic on, Rost Martin's got you covered now over on the website. So at the end of the day, do I recommend the RM1C Comped? Absolutely. Now, I don't want to sit here and tell you to trade up if you already have the RM1C. Should you spend the extra money and get the Comped version? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. Because like I said, the only difference between the two guns is the actual port and the barrel and the slide. But it does work. And I do shoot this Comped version better than I do the original. But I will say this, if you do not have an RM1C and you're thinking about getting one, just do yourself a favor and get the Comped version. You'll be glad you did. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.